We own the line to Moorpark. At the time that we had the opportunity to create Metrolink, and I was one of the original people that instituted Metrolink, and it got into this county basically through actions that we took. The opportunity came along through the use of Proposition 116 funds at the state level to buy Southern Pacific out. And at the time, we hadn't run any rail. We bought the line. It was Southern Pacific. They were in bankruptcy. We bought the line to Moorpark, where we had originally thought to run the line. Had I known in 1990s what I know today, we would have found some way to get the additional dollars to buy them out through the county line, but we didn't. We got the opportunity through that purchase to set us up to be able to buy the Santa Paula branch line and what was the Ventura line, which the city has turned into a bicycle path. That all came through that same initial purchase up to Moorpark. We got beyond Moorpark as a result of the 1994 earthquake in Northridge, when at the time the line was still owned by Southern Pacific, and they simply allowed us to go to Camarillo, and then we went on to Oxnard and we built the station and the layover facility in Montalvo, because the problem was not having a place to lay the trains over at night to be able to turn them around because of the limits on the amount of time that people can ride, conduct or drive the trains. They have to stop someplace. So then what happened is Union Pacific bought out Southern Pacific, and the ability to be flexible and get cooperation kind of changed. At that point, we wound up having to purchase the right, if you will, to run the train between Camarillo and Montalvo, not Montalvo, but Oxnard, basically up to the coastline in Montalvo. From where the Y comes in, we own the line.
You own the line?
We own the
line.
No, we own the line, the Santa Paula branch line up to the Y. We own part of the Y.
Yes. Okay.
So we need to go.
That parking place is yours.
It's ours.
But as soon as you leave,
you're
it's
on
the
Union Pacific, correct. And at the time, we had to pay them about $17 million in capital improvements for the privilege of running 2 trains a day between Moorpark and Oxnard. And we, to date, paid, and on top of that, we had to provide them with about $400,000 a year in capital improvements from the state, again, for the privilege of doing that, plus $100,000 a year to run the trains. The agreement that was worked out did allow us to add additional trains at a price, just the operating price. So when we were able to get the 3rd train into Montalvo, we just had to give them another $50,000 a year.
Let us review. We could have additional train service for a cost of $50,000 per year per train. That's less than $200 a day for a public train.
So the purchase of the line from the LA County line to Moorpark costs $10 million. The purchase of the right to use 2 trains from Moorpark to Montalvo was $17 million plus all of this additional money. So it was a vastly different operation that we were working for. And as I said, had I known at the time, but nobody ran trains before, so who knew, we would have found some way to go and buy them out through the whole county, but we didn't know that at the time. So,
and that option is no longer available to us?
Union Pacific is not in the business of selling its lines, and I think they regret very much that they sold the Santa Paula branch line. But they're not in the business of doing that. They're a freight operator. Mm-hmm. And I don't say that they have a relatively easy time or a relatively more easy time on these lines, because the commuter rail agencies and the state are making a lot of the capital improvements for them, which they then get some benefit of. I don't want this to sound like I have a bad working relationship with Union Pacific, because actually we do not. We have a very good working relationship with them. We've managed to buy 4 separate parcels. Most agencies don't ever buy railroad property. And similarly, if we were to build any sidings or build a second track, we would own that, And we would enter into an agreement that would allow Union Pacific to use some of that, again, because the idea is to move trains.
Imagine what a valuable resource it would be to have dependable, scheduled rail service running through our communities. How could it be put to use? Let's take a company like FedEx. They have to move things on a precise schedule. I assume you know how that works. They bought a local company, Kinko's, so I'll pick on FedEx. And by the way, Mr. FedEx, where did all those local jobs go? But I digress. All around town, their boxes and offices have a specific cutoff time because they have to get all of their stuff into a truck to the airport for a specific flight at a specific time. But they don't know how much traffic they will face trying to get to the airport. Because they're traveling during the rush hour, they have to anticipate the worst. If they could just stick their stuff on a train instead, with a reserved schedule on an unrestricted corridor, not only would the trucks be able to leave later, but they wouldn't be on the same roads everybody else is using at the same time. How many other businesses could benefit by knowing when things will arrive? How much does it cost you to wait for the cable guy to show up any time between 9 and 5? Imagine a business with a whole staff just waiting on the clock for a delivery. For a commercial freight service, that is a commodity we can rent back to them by having bidirectional tracks through the majority of our county. Let me point out, from the most comparable figures I could find, the cost per mile to build a railroad track is about 1/10 the cost of building a freeway.
We have about 24 passenger trains a day, 16 of which are Metrolink trains, the rest are Amtrak trains. And they all stop at the same stations going down.
I only see 4 of them, and one of them is the Amtrak through Oxnard.
No, you need to go to Moorpark. See, the issue is that we own the line to Moorpark. We are running 8 trains. These are all the passenger trains we run a day. While we'd like to have more, we really can't pragmatically get any more or limited more until we have additional sidings.
Decidedly more people use the train from Moorpark because they have more trains they can depend upon. Granted, Moorpark is centrally located to the county. But after you get there, how would somebody get back to the West County? With 2 bus connections, by the time you get there, you should have just waited for the train. Or you could have taken the freeway.